Lynn Jarrett is with me right now from the Third Mutual Board. And Lynn, I know you oversee the Garden Villa Association, right? And the three-story buildings.
Well, I did.
You did? Oh, I thought you still chair that. Okay.
No. We have a new president now, Stuart Hack.
Okay.
Yeah, he's president. But I would still work a lot with them. I'm on their board.
Okay.
I'm still on their board.
All right. So I know we're going to be talking about that for the most part today.
Yes, we are. And
yes, so welcome.
Thank you. And I'm not here to talk about landscape today because Kush talked about that
a
couple of weeks ago. So my subject today is going to be on three-story buildings.
Okay.
We have a lot of them.
You do?
Yes, we do. We have 81 three-story buildings that have over 2,000 residents, which is 1/3 of Third in Third Mutual. They're in three-story buildings. There's two types of three-story buildings. So there's the Garden Villa and the LH21.
Mm-hmm.
The Garden Villas there's 53 of those and 28 of the LH21s. I'll tell you the difference in a moment.
Okay.
Anyway, each building, I'm sorry, that's a mistake there. Each building has 1 to 3 bedrooms in it, depending on the type. We have a lot of types of three-story buildings, but the main ones are the Garden Villa and the LH21s. All three-story owners pay monthly surcharges for laundry, operating, elevator operating, laundry replacement, and the Garden Villa rec rooms. And the Garden Villa rec rooms have to pay owners in the three-story buildings, in those 53 ones I was talking about, they have to pay a surcharge every month for use of those buildings. Each building is inspected 3 times a year. And one of the big things is that, one of the things is that the maintenance in these buildings is huge. It's really big, huge. You can imagine. Ernesto Muniz, his staff, with Velny Soren and Mo Doctor, they do a terrific job in the three-story buildings. They've got it down to a science. The Garden Villa Association building captains, there's 81 building captains. We used to go around in the old days and inspect the buildings ourselves and call in the tickets. That was really nonsense. So when VMS took over, which was really a big boon to us, we now have somebody that inspects them 3 times a year. And it's amazing what problems they come up versus what a building captain can come up with, because they see a lot of things that building captains don't see, which is wonderful. And anyway, in the Garden Villas, we have 31 penthouse suites. They're over 200 square feet. The Garden Villa buildings also have underground garages, lobbies, and mail rooms. These are items that needs to be maintained. A lot of maintenance in these things. So they go through and they renovate the lobbies and the mail rooms as needed over the years. I wanted to talk about the new signage that we've got. You can see the new signage.
All right, and we got a photo of this, and this is the photo that is over, or excuse me, the big numbers that are over the entrance. Now, what building is this? A 3-story building?
Yeah, it's a 3-story Garden Villa building, and you see that's the entrance to the lobby there.
Okay.
And so they'll have them also at the entrance to the garage. And also the cul-de-sac signs are wonderful that they've started putting in. And they've about finished those, and they will by the end of the year in Third.
Okay, now is that about the lighting that are on those signs?
Yeah, reflective.
Right.
You can see things at night. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Okay.
So, but also lighting in the community is going to be changing this coming year because we have a really big budget item for lighting in Third. There's an energy task force, and they're working on lighting, working on contract with Siemens to get some good lighting in here next year because you know what a problem we have in lighting. You hear it all the time.
Right. So on the next slide, we have, just some of the maintenance that has to be done.
Yeah. Well, some of the maintenance is the buildings have to be, every 10 years, they have to be prepped and painted. So, and when in between times, every 5 years, they replace the breezeway on the first floors, the old turf. the artificial turf.
Yeah.
They have to replace that every 5 years. So that's a big job. They've been trying to find, alternate solutions to the breezeway recessed areas because the turf doesn't really work out well, but the staff is still searching for a good alternative. As I said, the buildings are inspected 3 times a year, and they really, really find a lot of problems, and they fix them. It's just unbelievable how they work on them.
So in the next slide, there's some floors and this is in the mail room and.
Right. The mail room and the elevators. The elevators can no longer have tile put on them. So we have done they've installed 2 elevator floors with vinyl, and that's the way it's going to go. Because there's a strict code with the state that you can't put all that weight in the elevator.
Oh, okay.
So we have to remove the tile that's in there, replace it with the vinyl.
Okay.
And that's a really big program. So right now, you can see they've cleaned the floors, but they're looking at, M&C is looking at new replacement tiles. So at the next M&C meeting on November the 4th, they're going to show some samples.
Okay.
And that'll be really great because they have to start replacing the tiles. They're really, really old.
Right. And here's some vinyl, obviously, that's been put into the laundry rooms, right?
Yeah. Well, the vinyl epoxy is going to be replacing the vinyl. That's epoxy, King,
Okay.
if you can believe it. So they're getting rid of the old vinyl in the laundry rooms as the floors need to be replaced. And they're also replacing the floors in the kitchen and the bathrooms in the rec rooms with this vinyl, and with the epoxy, and it's really, really working out well. With this decks, they top coat all the decks every 5 years in a three-story.
And so we see this here,
buildings. You can see how bad they get. They really can get very bad, very bad. And you know all about the solar installation of these 12. These are all Garden Villa buildings, not LH21s.
Okay.
The railing repairs. The railings they can repair these metal railings, but they cannot, as you can see here, these are going to be repaired. This one already has been, by the way. But they're looking at alternate replacement for the wooden spindle railings they have right now. They're really in bad shape.
Yes.
They get dry rot, they get old.
Yeah, and here's some pictures of just dry rot in general we have here.
Yeah, the dry rot in general, it's a big deal for the dry rot going on in in these 3-story buildings. In the beams of the Garden Villa buildings, and this is a picture here, you'll see on the screen, the LH21s. You can see this is a huge difference. On the waistline remediation, I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I'm sure you've seen this picture before.
Right.
But what I wanted to say is in June, Building 4002, which is an LH21, it's the first LH21 building that this contractor was working on. And they went in there and found out the drawings for the engineering drawings for the buildings were a little bit different than what they encountered when they started tearing into the walls.
Right.
But what happened is I went to a briefing there with the residents when the contractor and the staff came in to tell them what they needed to do, like how many days they were going to be without water or how many hours during this process. So it was really very, very interesting process that they have to go through to get rid of the old stuff. And I wish that all the buildings would be but it takes a long time.
Yeah, it does.
It takes 6 to 7 weeks to do a 3-story buildings. So I want to talk a little bit more about the rec rooms. We have a rec room subcommittee that meets with staff 3 times a year and a board member. And I'm the board member chair of this committee. We review the budget and the budget requests. For the first time, when we met last month, we meet 3 times a year. For the first time, we realized all our rec rooms have been brought up to standards. They're all the same now. All the different equipment's been replaced. It's really, really nice, and it's been a lot of work for staff to do this, and a lot of coordination among all of us to get it all done. They have a deep inspection once a year to find out what needs to be done for the following year. With the budget that we have, we give them with the surcharges that are collected. The exercise have all been equipped with batteries and in case of a power outage, and a lot of things have been done. The painting of those rooms is done as needed. And when it's time to paint a room, they have a choice of colors for an accent wall. It really, really makes it nice when they have an accent wall.
Yeah.
And they get a choice, a lot of colors.
All right, here are the pictures of the kitchenettes that are in the rec rooms, right?
Right, yes, these are the kitchenettes. And anyway, you can see the before and you can see the after. They're really have changed it, made it more modern. These are the buildings that are back down in Gate 5, and these are the old, smaller kitchenettes. You know, they can't they can't have a large range or a large cabinets and things down there. It's very small kitchens, and we can't change the architecture on those. Can't renovate them.
So the next page shows the heat pumps, the more efficient way to.
Well, it's unbelievable. It took years to replace these heat pumps. And when I was the president of Garden Villa, I would keep going to the M&C and the board meetings every year for 3 or 4 years, begging them to put money in the budget for heat pumps. Well, last year they finally finished replacing the old heat pumps. I think they did like 16. And I got mine replaced. It was a 1992 model in my building.
Wow.
And it made such a huge difference to have this new heat pump. Unbelievable difference. And down here, here you can see on this slide the card tables.
All right,
You can see a picture of a rec room, but in the background, way in the back, that probably would be a wall possibly that would be having an accent color if it were to be painted right now. But we're replacing the chairs. The chairs are probably in the neighborhood of 40 years old.
Wow.
Really old chairs.
Yeah.
But they're old wood. The old ones are wood and leather. And they have stood up all these years.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But some of them are starting to break, and so you can see here how terrible they are.
It is amazing that they've held up all these years.
So we're replacing a lot of those. Now the billiard covers and the inserts, you can see the cover on the table. But those inserts are wonderful because before there were 3 big pieces of plywood that were on that table.
Trying to get that off.
And they were so heavy to lift off of there. So Vilni Soren from maintenance, she went out and she found this wonderful insert that we can put there at the top of the table to make our tabletop.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And you can just see the water heater replacement that they take place every 10 years or so. A little bit more on the rec rooms. They're starting to put new blinds replacements in there. They're like faux wood. We don't have those old steel slats or metal slats, you know. So they're starting to replace those out. They replace the carpet as needed. And they do the countertop resurfacing in the bathrooms, in the ladies' rooms. It's really, really nice.
So on the rec rooms, can folks rent them out?
No.
Okay.
We cannot rent them out because people in the building they furnish them. Okay. They furnish the rooms themselves with all their own money, and they pay a surcharge every month. Okay. So no, they're not rentable, and we get asked that every once in a while, especially now because there's so many rooms or so few rooms available from recreation. Yeah. Because they're all rented out. So anyway, I wanted to tell you about the Gardenville Association. Like I told you, Stuart Hack is the president. And he works really, really well with the building captains, the 81 building captains. And Garden Villa works with the board, very closely with the board on maintenance and compliance issues. Because believe me, there's a lot of maintenance and compliance issues. Because we have, a lot of leaks, different kinds of things that cause problems. And so it's really, really important for the captains to work closely with the board and in the maintenance department when needed. And the subcommittee, like I said, the subcommittee meets 3 times a year with the chair of the board. I mean, the chair of that committee on the board and staff, and they get a lot done. The next meeting for the Gardenville Association will be on November the 14th at 10 a.m. in Clubhouse 5.
All right. Now, I know you hear about the building captains, but they're different for the three-story buildings, right?
Right.
Okay.
The building captains of three-story buildings are just that. They're for the three-story buildings. And they're wonderful volunteers. Oh my gosh, they're wonderful. But the difference between building captains in the three-story buildings and the disaster good neighbor captains, is that's what they do, is disaster. But we're starting to really try to get the building captains to work with as a good neighbor captain also. So that, because a lot of what they do is a good neighbor captain,
right.
Same kind of duties. But some building captains are very busy, very active, because you can be as active as you want to be when you're a building captain. But some of them feel like they don't want to take the extra, duty on for a good neighbor captain. But now we're trying to get them persuaded to do that because it's such an important program.
Right.
The disaster preparedness.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just want to say thanks to Eileen's staff, to Eileen, Paul, and staff for doing this presentation for me on the PowerPoint. Wonderful.
All right.
She has a wonderful staff. Anyway,
good to see you again.
Thank you. It's nice to see you, Ken.
Yeah. Thank you, Lynn, and we'll see you again soon.
Okay. Next time, probably a landscape.
Okay. We'll be right back.